Hello, and welcome to
the Chevalier Sisters.
Today we're going to be talking about what makes a world immersive. What makes you feel like you're there? What makes it real, palpable, tasteful? We have some excellent representations of this in many different genres and styles, so we're going to be running through those.
You mentioned earlier past and present, right?
I think I mentioned past, present, and future.
Past, present, and future.
So we can go through those.
Sure.
So I feel like past, great examples of this are Book Thief.
Yeah.
Emily Wilde.
Well, what do you mean by past?
Okay, what I mean by past is setup. It means world. These characters have already done something, obviously, unless they're born in the book, which I have actually read a book like that, but even that character had done stuff before that. Anyway, so, I mean, I'm going to use Emily Wilde because it's my current read. Actually, this is Aubin right now, but I'm in the second book, and I really love how throughout the story, she references things she's already done. She references papers she's already written, adventures she's gone on, things that she's learned. She is a person. She's a 29-year-old woman who has a job, who has a life, who has a dog, and she feels so real. And also the footnotes, I love footnotes in books, give a very clear sense of fact to this fiction, which is one of my favorite things, especially anything having to do with folklore. I love learning about folklore, so having it clearly given as something you learn, or something you already have learned in her case, is truly, truly wonderful.
It's interesting that you play with the idea of fact in your fiction, because I feel like that is a super driving force of what makes a book feel immersive.
Yeah, because people have to believe it in the book.
Absolutely.
For you to believe it outside of it.
Totally.
Because, like, if the people who are living it actively don't believe it, then there's no way that...
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
Actually, I will say...
There is
an interesting breaking of that rule
I was actually
is
about
Mystery
to say,
Royale.
I actually haven't read it yet. I will soon. But I think there is a really interesting line that you can play with people learning about magic system or a mystery.
Yeah. Some people... And it's interesting because she gets a few people's reactions. Some people are just like, oh, classic uncle. Or like... And other people are like, what is going on? This is amazing. And other people are like, I hate this. It's so old.
Yeah. Just playing with... And I think that's another really important thing is the multi-perspective image of it, which...
Or I would say the interpretation or varied reviews almost.
Yeah.
Like a product on Amazon doesn't feel real unless it has like a fair amount of reviews.
So many reviews.
On like, you gotta have the people who just rate everything 1 star, and then you gotta have the people who rate 2 star, and then you have a good amount of 3 star, 4 star.
Same with Goodreads.
And then same with Goodreads.
You just don't even really believe it if it's like all 5 stars. You're like, now that sounds like a bunch of bots or a bunch of friends.
I think, my friend rated my book 4 stars, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
I really
honest
do
review.
appreciate.
If
you really didn't like my book or thought it was mad, please rate it 3 stars or 4 stars or
will make
2 stars.
People feel like it's more real.
Yeah, it makes the world feel more real. And if all of you say that it's terrible, then some people like
will
me
be like,
will want to read it just
because
everyone says it's terrible. But don't. If you think my book was good, don't rate it like 1 star, guys.
Yeah, that's just mean.
But if you have read it, do rate it.
Okay, back to Emily Wilde. I love the fact that there are people who are... I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But as a researcher, she must talk to the locals about the Fae. And so having their perspective on it is so fun.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're going to get so many different perspectives. I feel like this is also in Caraval with the different people playing it are like...
Been here before.
I know how to
care
do
about
this.
The goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are just here because it's fun.
Yeah.
And then other people are like, I must find all the clues. Yeah. So, that is obviously super fun, giving a sense of reality, complexity, individuality to your characters is a necessity if you're going to make it fun. So,
Hold on.
for present.
Oh, got it.
I think my sister's book is a great example because I know how much research she put into this. So I would also say Book Thief because it is also a historical fiction. And I'm going to add...
You haven't read Traitor,
Six of
but Traitor
Crows.
is also heavily researched as well.
I'm going to add Six of Crows because... I mean, also Six of Crows has a delicious past. But all of those books have a very real, living present. And 2 of them were obviously researched and set in a particular time period.
Counting Traitor.
Right, 3 of them. Were set in a very specific time period. And I mean, arguably Six of Crows is just Amsterdam. But technically it's not, so they all have a reality to them that is constructed through the active world. The world they're currently in. I mean, technically, I could also put Emily Wilde in here.
What do you mean by active world they're currently in?
I should explain that. So, I mean, what materials do they have? What mechanical things do they have? What societal structure do they have? What biases, assumptions? What is the...
Zeitgeist.
Yeah, that word.
You mind if I scoot in here?
No.
Okay. All right. So my thought of what makes a really layered, a really immersive world is, do you ever listen to a piece of music and slowly they add more layers or more loops or more additions of sound or something, and then it feels so natural, it's just kind of carrying you, and then everything kind of is just all layered on top of each other, and it creates this wonderful, beautiful soundscape or mood or vibe, and everything adds to that vibe. It's not all that vibe on its own, but once you add the beat and once you add I don't actually study music theory, so once you add all those little things, plus
I mean,
the
you
words,
could do it by instrument.
Yeah, once you add the guitar, the piano, the drum, the violin,
I was
the
thinking
triangle,
of very different
the
music
voices,
venues. Yeah.
the viola, the cello, the brass band in the back.
I love how you did drums for brass band.
Did I? Anyway,
we're not musicians, but our drums.
All of these things add to a world or a song or a vibe that you believe. How that translates to books, I believe, is kind of you introduce layers, ideas, concepts, realities, details. Maybe not all at the same time. Like, have you ever listened to...
No, not at the same time.
So,
no,
like,
please,
have you ever... I mean, sometimes that works. Like, Maze Runner's just like...
Not really. I mean, if you think about it.
Okay, yes. Things always kind of build a little bit. There's a bunch of Sylvan Esso songs that, like, start out with one thing, then add another thing, and then boop, boop, boop. And I think it's kind of the same with all of these. So it's, at first, it's just, like, with Emily Wilde, it's just, like, her getting there, and then it's, like, her with the villagers, and then it's, like, her with other aspects of the story, and slowly it all builds. Same with, like, basically every book, because this is how it works.
Worlds work.
But
and I'm actually
if you
going
layer
to...
enough, if you layer all these things, it begins to create a world all on its own. So it's not like you have to force it. It's just drawing in things that are naturally true.
Yeah. I'm going to jump in here with... It can layer in different ways than that. I mean, one of my favorite ways of layering is character complexity. So you could meet all the characters at the beginning.
Yes.
But... character complexity, especially getting in their heads, getting how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
It could be in base, like, it's a bunch of friends in an apartment. Like, then you have the scene, you have the characters, you have the environment. But then from there, you build their emotions. You build their actual true character.
Yeah. I'd say kind of Six of Crows, Traitor... Book Thief. I mean, you meet the parents pretty early on.
Book Thief is really interesting because it's not you're just learning more about her, it's that she's actually growing up.
Yes.
Which is I mean, of course, in every book a character matures, but not in every book a character is, physically growing up. I mean, you're never gonna grow again.
I mean, vampires, guys.
Yeah, they're dead. I'm not a huge vampire fan, if you couldn't tell.
But I want to highlight an idea that you can apply to all of these ideas, is contradiction. Contradiction is obviously plentiful in real life, but adds a layer of reality to fiction because I'm going to highlight Mystery Royale in this. Mystery Royale has all these people with very contradicting views on one thing, and you get to see that thing from all of their different perspectives. So that is one way that contradiction really brings a lot of dimension to a book. It's because once you have to look at it from multiple different sides, you see more of it and you appreciate more of it. And also contradiction just naturally occurs in real life.
I think that
people have different views on subjects all the time.
I think that that's a really great thing in Six of Crows, particularly between Nina and Matthias. Now I feel like we can touch upon future. I think the most important thing about future is progression.
You should have grabbed Gregor.
Oh, yeah. Gregor's fun, but not those books.
But then we could talk briefly about...
No, okay. That's a rant.
Oh, okay.
What I was saying is progression, not just of the character, but of the world.
Yes. Or deterioration.
Which is very often found in dystopian books.
And also... Oh, that is a dystopian book.
And also The Hunger Games.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, but Snow in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is a deteriorating character. Well, deteriorating is such an interesting word. He becomes so much more complex.
I mean...
He's in his still morality is deteriorating.
Thinking historical fiction-wise, things are obviously happening at the time period that both Book Thief and Traitor and... I said both, but all three of those books, a lot of historical events are happening. World War II.
These are both World War II.
And then...
This is Victorian era.
Which, I mean, so many things are... emerging.
An interesting book if you want to really get into the idea of the present, the future of a world, then A Mind of Her Own, I think. It's a book about Marie Curie in her day, and it's mostly just a very cute story about her meeting her husband. But it gets a lot into her head and the life, her life in that day and time.
If I'm not mistaken, she was obviously like the only female in her field.
It briefly touches on that, but it also touches on like what was science thinking of itself at the time. So a big idea at the time. They were one of the major questions of the book is science bankrupt? Meaning, have we discovered pretty much everything that there is? And a lot of scientists, as portrayed in the book, are wondering if this is true. And so clearly they're like, am I in a bankrupt field?
Am I about to lose?
Have we discovered everything? Which is just super laughable at, nowadays. But at the time, this is an interesting question for the Victorians. I believe she was Victorian era.
We'll put it
Poland,
on the screen.
And then she traveled to somewhere else.
The story's context is not confined to the story. I have the beautiful Mother Holly. Don't mind the bite marks. I've had this since a child. The book itself has a lot of things. It has the author. It has, particularly for Mother Holly, it has, first of all, the art. Oh,
yeah.
So gorgeous. So gorgeous. And it has the folklore behind it. It has the history. It has its culture woven into it. And I feel like you can find this in lots of books, like We Hunt the Flame, with how the author's personal story, personal history, personal ethnicity, or religion can affect the story they write, which is a beautiful thing. And then all of those same things are applicable to you as the reader, how you interact with the story. So,
An interesting thing I'm going to bring up is Jojo Rabbit, directed by Taika Waititi. It's like, it's something in the context of another thing. So it's like World War II, but it's in the context of
a comedy.
Modern day commentary and also comedy.
And a kid.
So it's like...
and a kid.
But I'm talking about like a piece of work that's
Yeah.
referencing both the thing it's talking about and also using the meta-knowledge of the current day readers'
and
association with it.
subverts the
Which is another way to
idea.
bring depth and dimension and immersiveness
Yeah.
to your world. Though it's not like everyone's not going to write a book like Jojo Rabbit the movie. I heard this thing one time that my dad told me that he watched from a reel, so it's obviously
so
super
true.
sound. It's that the writer of Jurassic Park, which I have not watched, he was talking about what separates a normal thriller adventure movie from something that's like become
A
more
classic.
major or classic. It's like what makes it different. And
Story?
it's the questions. And it's you set up a much larger question and then have answers from both sides, and then this sets up a world that you truly have to think about to live in.
Yeah, everyone can make a movie about a person running around with an axe killing people. But if there is no question in it, like, why?
Well, and the other thing is, I keep coming back to the idea of if you don't have to fight for it or
Is it
think
even
about
yours?
it, is it even yours? So if you don't have to think about the world,
opinion or the world
the,
or
the
the
opinion, is it yours? And another thing I'm going to say is,
which again, sorry, that just
go
leads
ahead.
me back to Six of Crows and people, particularly Matthias, realizing, oh wow, this isn't actually my perspective, this is the perspective I was given.
yeah.
Which is a really important question that a lot of people in this world have to go through.
And another point I'm going to bring up is for my second book, which currently I'm just calling Gabriel. I have written so many. I've written basically like another book of scenes that I'll probably never use. But what it does mean is that I understand the characters and so much more about their past. Like I have 8,000 words of a backstory for this character. That's like almost
That's a
a
novella.
novella. It doesn't mean that what I wrote was wasted. It means that every time I write anything with that character going forward, I have
A foundation.
a foundation. I have like a whole new history. I have basically a whole nother life that I understand when I write any description or dialogue, and that is super helpful and has honestly changed everything about how I write. And one thing that I suggest is if you have a character, I had a character that I didn't really understand or particularly like. Actually, that was like pretty much all of my characters.
Yeah. It's just so weird because like...
Which what happens was when you think about them and you ask them questions and you wrestle with this and write more from their perspective, and their perspective alone, just their backstory, their past, their feelings about current issues and thinking about why that is, you will generally begin to understand them more. And then I believe once you understand something even a little bit, you're able to write it in a much more whole way.
Weird thing, but I will say it, is don't be afraid of being original or unpopular. By that I mean, if you don't like tropes, certain tropes that are popular, you don't have to write them. It is okay. Some people are tired of enemies to lovers. They're out there. Am I tired of it? I haven't really read that many enemies to lovers, so I can't be tired of it yet.
Oh,
But
you could.
I could. Also, guys, I'm going to mention something. Is don't be afraid of writing sad endings, because
This is from personal experience.
I like sad endings, but nobody writes them.
I hate sad endings.
Because people like Aubin
I don't
exist.
like writing them either.
Again, it's just your personal preference. If you want to write a tragedy, don't let anyone stop you. We haven't had good tragedies. I mean, we have. But we haven't had many good tragedies in so long.
Ella.
So, to recap Immersive World, have history, have context, have varied characters, and different perspectives. And actually, an interesting thing, because, you know, I'm constantly trying to figure out how I should prove myself wrong. with varied characters, I'm not saying that they all have to be varied exactly. Like, if you want to, you could write, I mean, we've had a lot of World War II books, so I was just thinking, like, a group of soldiers. Like, they're all, which reminded me of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Which, if you've watched Clone Wars.
Yeah, do all the clones think the same?
Kind of, at the beginning. But then they change and differ.
Exactly.
Which is an interesting thing to play with.
So all you have to do is now watch 6 seasons of Clone Wars.
Which is worth it. Have a world that you feel is real. Well, it has been very enjoyable to teach you guys. No, just to share our opinion. And I'd love to have you around. Also, if you're confused about, like, what book is book tea this month, we are not having a book tea spoilers included because it's June. So we're halfway through the year. So Aubin and I are going to make separate videos next week, recapping the books that we've read and rating them without spoilers. So spoiler-free recap of the books we've read this year. So hope to see you guys there. And video we would direct you to, if you guys want to learn how to write world building or romance. I feel like those are the two things that would come after the base.
So we have a video on Romance 101 in our writing advice a playlist, and then we also have world building.
You can
which
just
is kind of the
that.
continuation. It's a really good video, guys.
I would just suggest, if you have any particular questions, either write them down in the comments or scroll through our writing advice playlist and see if we have already answered it. So yeah. I love you guys. Bye. I can't remember. I think we had it on DVD, not VHS.
Ella, I have great news. I have such great
news. You do?
I have such... Look at this.
Wow.
I was wondering if this was just a first book, but look, that is a number 1.
That is a number 1.
It was covered up in my library with a little, barcode thing, but this is obviously book 1, which means I have another one to look forward to.
At least one.
At least one. You want to grab the other Emily Wilde book? I can grab it real quick.
Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Back to what I was saying about The Little Mermaid.
What?
I'm going to bring up Emily Wilde again because I love it.
I didn't want it on my wrist.
So you shot it at our fans?
No, I missed them. Didn't it, guys? Guys! Brief pause to talk about Bird Notice, as we have in every episode. I finished it! I finished all 7 seasons. Over 110 episodes. I watched it all with my dad. And we finished it on Father's Day. It ended well, so if you're should I watch 110 episodes of this show? Will it end well? The answer is yes.
Completely lost my trail. Oh, yes, something I'm also going to mention about... Did you just kiss them?
No, actually, it was close. I know one trope you're tired of, but it's okay.
Yes. I mean, I don't dislike it. I'm just tired of the debaucherous prince, okay? We've had so many of them. Why is it always
because
the debaucherous prince and then the vaguely better, morally good girl who's, not debaucherous? It's always those two.
Ella reads a lot of fantasy.
I read solely fantasy.
If she stepped out into the world of
I've read some historical
mystery
fiction.
thriller,